Would everybody please stand? Gentlemen, please remove your caps for the singing of our national anthem. Gentlemen, please replace your caps and take a seat. Thank you.
I am so grateful that we are here at the Tsongas Arena today for the celebration of the graduation for the class of 2012. What are the odds that the arena would be available at the last minute for us to change our plans? Thank you to so many people who helped make this happen, from our deans Doherty, Galante, and Blagg, Tom Peterson, Scott Moreau, and our superintendent, Dr. Tiano. A thank you to Steve McDonald and Brian Robelad for offering to be my personal umbrella holder as long as I didn't postpone the ceremony. I am also so grateful that this wasn't last weekend when we had the 24-hour relay with over 1,000 people staying for 24 hours on the football field. Welcome to all family, friends, staff, honored guests, and most importantly, the incredible class of 2012. I especially want to recognize our staff members who came out to support you today. A special thank you to your class advisors, Mrs. Murphy and Mrs. Blakely. And I also want to give recognition to two of our teachers who are retiring, Mrs. Ziba and Mr. Lemire. Congratulations to them. This is a perfect ending of a perfect year for the class of 2012. Your class has been a fabulous role model for our underclassmen. So many of you have excelled academically that our school has been recognized by College Board with the national honor. Also with athletically, you've been recognized by our seniors for All-State, All-Star, and All-Scholastic honors. Our National Honor Society has been nominated on the state and national level for their community projects, and of course, our performing arts program with our band and orchestra, and state titles of our TAMI nominees and our TAMI Award winners. Congratulations. Your class has taken the spirit of community to the highest level. You have donated over $5,000 to charities for autism research, the Chelmsford Food Pantry, thousands of dollars to the Shriners. You have raised money through the 24-hour relay to Make-A-Wish Project, Chelmsford Police Youth Programs, the Fire Safe Programs, the Alumni Scholarship Association, the Senior Center, and you came to the aid at the last minute to Henryville High School in Indiana when they were devastated by a tornado. You also came to the aid of a family who had a young child that is still on life support. Without question and with true sincerity, you have all come to the aid of others when asked. I personally want to thank so many of you who helped beautify the front memorial garden this past September. I was so amazed at how many of you stayed for hours each day in the hot weather to clean up the area in honor of the individuals who are remembered there. I want to thank the Plus Blocks who took our school projects, planting flowers and supporting the Santa Fund. These are the acts that make me proud to be the principal of Chelmsford High School. So what now, class of 2012? What is our next step as we move on together? Chelmsford High has taught you so much more than facts, skills, and rules. It has taught you to persevere, respect, have integrity, to be dedicated, and to have empathy. This pride that you have all demonstrated is what you will take with you to be successful individuals. We have prepared you for the challenges that you will face. It will be the challenges that demand perseverance and dedication that will get you through all challenges in life. It will be the respect of and integrity and empathy that will make you better individuals for this place to be better off. You are ready to move on. I have been blessed to have been a part of Chelmsford for my entire life. I have to thank amazing individuals who have been my teachers, role models, and good friends. Thanks to my former teachers and deans, Angie Taranto, Jack Conrad, Ed Quinn, Don Boucher. To my former role model teachers, Eileen Fletcher, Alberta Mooney, Michelin Queenan. To my dear friends and colleagues, Bernie Battle, Steve Meidel, Al Thomas, and my long-lost brother, Jeff Doherty. And of course, our own Mr. Simonian. I also need to thank you, all my right-hand secretaries, the assistants, Stella McCormick, Roberta Dukowitz, Carol Rogers, and certainly my current staff, Kathy Emanuel, Diane Bormeister, and our classy Beth Rick, for being wonderful assistants. Thank you. There are also community members and groups who deserve recognition for their positive support and spirit for Chelmsford High School. Jen Paletta, who attended and donated her time and resources and expertise to our Memorial Garden this September. Mrs. Totten for changing our old school sign each week. Rick Sullivan for dedicating to the 24-hour Our Sundays at midnight since 1998, my personal favorite. Thank you, Rick. To Sal Lapoli for his constant support for our programs, to Trinity Ambulance, the Chelmsford Police, and the Chelmsford Fire for always being there and working with us in all of our events. I also need to thank my family for letting me give so much time to a community that I love. Thank you to my husband, Bill, my son, Bill, and my daughters, Brittany and Bridget, for sharing me for 25 years with my students. I will leave CHS with a heavy heart, but I have been blessed to have been able to be a part of a special community called Chelmsford. So for the class of 2012, take the lessons that your teachers have worked so hard to teach you seriously. Respect life. Have gratitude for what you have been given. Make a difference in someone's life. Have tolerance. Give back to your community and make the world a better place by your actions. We leave together, and I do believe that this is not the end. This is not the beginning of the end. It is only the end of the beginning. Good luck, congratulations, and I have love for all of you. Thank you. It is now my honor to introduce our salutatorian, Neil Choli.
Hello, friends, family, teachers, faculty, distinguished guests, and most importantly, the class of 2012. It is truly an honor to be talking to you all. It is an honor to be wearing this maroon cap and gown, and soon take the final steps to walk up, seize my diploma, and give an extremely firm handshake to Dean Doherty. But this is not the only day we have been honored. Just think about the last 4 years. Over the past 4, 8, and even 12 years, it has truly been an honor to be a classmate with every single one of you. And I'd like to take the time for us to thank each other, our teachers, faculty, and our families for adding so much to our lives. Let's have a round of applause for all of us. Now, just for a moment, think back, reflect, ponder about the most memorable times of your high school career. There seems to be so many different experiences that come to mind. However, when I reflected on my high school career, I found that all my memories had a commonality. They all dealt with passion. I think back. There I was in my sophomore year in Honors U.S. History, sitting in room 301, thinking I was a total BA. Mr. Lemire would be in the middle of his fast-paced lecture, but I would always have to raise my hand and repeatedly interrupt the class to ask him questions, to ask him to restate a point, clarify a homework assignment, or review for a test. Again and again, I would throw my arm into the air until it reached the point that he looked at me and he finally told me, "Choli, you worry too much." Well, that struck me pretty hard. If no one worries, then how does anyone get anywhere? How can we get the most out of life if we don't always care? Whether we are aware of it or not, we all have some sort of unbending philosophy that drives our lifestyles. One popular motto that I've heard lately is YOLO. You only live once, so why should I care? Well, it is true. We do only live once. One day, we will pass away. It is a fact. So, why should we care then? Because we have the ability to achieve greatness. Because we know that we can make positive strides that will make an impact. Because we know that before we leave this earth, we will have made our stay on this planet absolutely worthwhile. Yes, we do only live once, so therefore we should care. But how can we care? How do you really live our lives to the fullest? The answer to that question is that we each must find and follow our passions, no matter what they may be. Ask yourself, what quickens your pulse? What leaves you with a genuine smile? Finding the answers to these questions will allow us to do things we truly love to do, the things that will make our time spent in our lives worthwhile and meaningful. On the other hand, for many of us, our life is based on a motorized drive to do work to get the job done. I had always wanted to do the best job that I could do, but is following such a mechanical philosophy really the best way to go? Now, up till now, you may have assumed that I view high school as a magical place that will guide us to rid the world of all of its problems. But let's not lose our grip on reality here. They say school is a place that will furnish us with the skills that will prepare us better for the future. But has it? Does education alone really make us into capable citizens that we want to be? It just seems that in recent trends, there has been a growing pressure for us to focus more and more on memorization and mechanical linear thinking that will enable us to perform better only on exams. We're starting to see that our curiosity, creativity, imagination, and our passions, our true potential, are becoming extinguished. We have to shed our mechanical mindset. We have to appreciate concepts rather than formulas. We have to actively learn rather than passively memorize. We have to be able to find and instill a passion for learning. Now, let me be frank. My speech, well, It was supposed to end right about here. But last night, after I came home from the banquet, I looked at my speech over again. I thought back to yesterday's dance, how at the end, all of us, despite our differences, came together, hugging each other's shoulders in a huge circle, living the good life. It was then that I realized something important, that this speech was wrong. It didn't come out to be addressed to all of you. I stressed the importance of intellectual passion, but the real message is the following. Anyone has the right to be passionate about anything. Passion can be found in teammates who triumph in the football games. Passion can be found in the boy that's trying to woo a girl who is, well, way out of his league. Passion is the key ingredient not only to learning, but to any feat, any stride, anything that you feel is an accomplishment, and any life that has been lived to the fullest. Undoubtedly, I believe education helps us follow the path to success, but I honestly believe that it has its limits on influencing how successful we will become, because success is more dependent on our own personal motivation. Each of us has a special power, the power to further ourselves, a power that no one else possesses except us. You have to be the best person you want to be, because you can be the best person you want to be. You must be the best person you want to be. We have to remain strong and challenge ourselves to continue doing what we love, no matter what. We have to view every problem we come across as a welcoming challenge. We have to devour every obstacle that comes in our way, to utilize every failure as an opportunity to build upon ourselves, to make every fiber of our muscles, our minds, and our hearts stronger. We have already passed 17 or 18 years on this planet. We have to be extremely appreciative of what we have been given. But what will you give back? What are you going to do in the next coming years? Remember, you only live but once. Find your passions, follow them to the fullest, and make the most out of this gift that is life. And always, always, always remember, we are the Chelmsford High School class of 2012. We are the Lions. Thank you.
Your President, Matthew Coughlin.
On behalf of the class of 2012, we wish to present Chelmsford High School with a new scoreboard for the John T. Conrad Gymnasium as it undergoes its renovations this summer. Here to accept the class gift, Principal O'Brien.
I'm sure Mr. Moreau is very excited about this. We're very excited about our project this summer, and we will really appreciate it. Thank you to the class of 2012.
Daniel, could you please come up here? It has been a pleasure to lead and share experiences with the class of 2012. The role of the president is one that requires a person to confidently lead his classmates by example at all times. His or her classmates by example at all times. I am certain you will uphold this position with the dignity and dedication that it deserves. It is my honor to present the gavel to you, Daniel Pires, as the elected president of the class of 2013.
Thank you, Matt. I'm incredibly honored to accept this gavel on behalf of the class of 2013. I feel privileged to have been elected as class president, but with that privilege comes enormous responsibility and hard work. Matt and his fellow class officers are shining examples of how to lead a class into having the perfect senior year. They were faced with major changes at CHS, but took them in stride with a positive attitude and created new traditions as well. With that being said, I just wanted to express sincere congratulations to not only the officers, but to the entire class of 2012. You have truly set the bar high. The class of 2013 will continue your legacy. Once again, congratulations, class of 2012, and good luck. You've earned it. Thank you.
Hello, Chelmsford High School, class of 2012. Can you believe it? After today, we can officially call ourselves alumni of Chelmsford High. The past 12 years have been a fun and fulfilling ride. Today is certainly a day to celebrate, a day to feel proud of our personal achievements and those of our classmates. However, today is also very daunting and in some ways overwhelming. Before today, every time we walked through the exit doors of CHS, we were leaving for a night, for a week of vacation, or even for a summer off. But today it's different. Today we leave Chelmsford High for one last time. For many of us, this significant change in our lives is a scary thought. But it's important to realize that our whole entire high school careers have been defined by change. I know for one that I am not the same person I was 4 years ago. On September 3rd, 2008, I stepped out of my sister's car on my first day of high school and immediately bent over, thinking I would be sick right there in the parking lot. My sister, a senior at that time, rubbed my back as we walked slowly towards the school. And I can remember that I refused to walk through the gym doors because when my sister had brought me to show me the way to my classes a week earlier, we had only walked through the side door, and I would enter through no door but that one. I was scared. But I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago. None of us are. In the last 4 years, we've each entered this school through every door. For all of us, CHS has opened many new doors for us in many different ways. And as a class, we have taken advantage of all those opportunities together. In our time here, our class has been through a lot and has done some pretty cool stuff. We celebrated not one, but 2 consecutive Spirit Week wins. And we dominated, and we dominated Thanksgiving games year after year. We jitterbugged at the first ever 50s dance and got down low at the last ever Morp and Romp. We were members of successful math and science teams, players on championship sports teams, super fans of everything CHS. I hope that I speak for each and every one of us when I say that I have been changed by Chelmsford High School. If you can recall just one moment in high school that makes you smile every time you think of it, then Chelmsford High has changed you for the better. CHS has made an impact on you. As much as we have been changed in these last 4 years, we ourselves have also reciprocated by leaving our mark and changing this school, leaving behind us new traditions like a homecoming dance during Spirit Week and movie nights out on the plateau. We have taken risks both individually and as a class. Every risk gave us something to take away, and we should leave this high school with no regrets. None. In our failures, we have found a positive, we have found success, we have found amazing people telling us to try again tomorrow. Where is the regret in that? The big question around this time of year, one that we ask ourselves and one that we are asked by those around us, is the question, are you ready to leave? Are you really ready to graduate and leave this place behind? My answer is always the same. Well, yeah, but nah. See, when we look back on our high school years, we should feel accomplished. We have done some truly amazing things. We should feel like we have done everything we wanted to do in our 4 years here, and we have left our mark on this great place. But I always follow my emphatic yes with a hesitant no, and here's why. I will miss those people that have shaped me and have given me something to get up for every morning. Because let's face it, we don't get up for the math test, for the sports game that night, or for one of those class activities which results in one of those seemingly endless nights spent at the school. We get out of bed every morning not just to face Mr. Sherwood's impossible chemistry test, but to do so with the people we studied with for hours the previous night. We get up at 6 a.m. or 6:30 or 7:15, and we drag ourselves to school, not simply to play in the lacrosse game after school, but to do so with our teammates and our coaches who are relying on us, and for our teammates with whom we want nothing more than to share another win. We drive ourselves bleary-eyed to school every morning so that we can have the privilege to work beside some of the most brilliant and dedicated and coolest people we've ever met as we stressfully, yet playfully, put together a spirit wall on one of those nights that we realize we don't want to end. I've spent many days at this school from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. working with fellow classmates who are in no way obligated to stay that late, but they always do, because they want to. To me, that's really something special. We have come here every day for the last 4 years because we are proud of the people we call our friends. I'm going to miss the people here more than any mural, more than any class, more than any game I've ever played in. It is the teachers, the faculty, the staff, and most of all the students who breathe life into each of those things. So, my friends, we have all been changed by CHS, and it's the people around us who have done it. Each and every one of us has had that moment when we bent over with mild nausea and stared at the ground, overwhelmed by everything in our lives, scared to go on with it. Afraid to go through the door we haven't tried yet. And there will be more of them, trust me. But today we walk across this stage as classmates, changed by an institution that prides itself on that changing, on helping its students change, and in making sure that we know that doors, even ones that aren't painted maroon, usually open to better things than we could have ever imagined. Congratulations, guys. I love you.
Thank you, Matt. It is now my pleasure to introduce our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Frank Tiano.
Good evening. I'm so pleased to welcome this year's graduating class from Chelmsford High School. The class of 2012 is my second class as Superintendent of Schools, and I'm truly grateful to be sharing this day with you today. Here in the Chelmsford Public School District, we believe it is our obligation to provide the best learning environment and opportunities to inspire each individual student's spirit to follow their passions and reach their fullest potential. Today, we have an honored commencement speaker who has a Chelmsford High School graduate herself, embodies this spirit. Karen Garigian has combined her passions for writing and sports and maximized her potential to have an extraordinary career as a sports writer. After sitting right where you are as a Chelmsford High School student in 1979, Ms. Garigian went on to be an honors graduate student of Northeastern University. While in the school, she was a general assignments reporter for the Lowell Sun before moving to the Boston Herald. She has been a member of the Boston Herald sports staff since 1984. Currently, she is the Patriots beat columnist, a role she has held in the newspaper for the last 2 seasons, after serving as the lead beat writer for the previous 2 seasons before that. Ms. Garigian has broken stories from Foxborough regarding quarterback Tom Brady, former receiver Randy Moss, as well as many other notable players. As she closes in on almost 30 years at the Herald, she's also spent time performing many other duties. Ms. Garigian followed the Bruins for 8 seasons as the beat writer and beat columnist, bringing inside information about the black and gold. To commemorate the recent Stanley Cup championship, she recently wrote a 48-page championship book for the Herald. She's been a regular in the Herald's Red Sox coverage as well, and has covered nearly every major sporting event in her career, traveling across the country and across the globe to cover the Olympics, the World Series, the NHL Finals, the NBA Finals, and numerous professional golf majors. She's been singled out for her work, twice winning Boston Magazine's Best of Boston Award for Best Sports Reporter. She's also captured a New England Press Association Award for Best News Story in 1982 while working for the Lowell Sun. Just as important, she was also inducted in the Chelmsford High School Hall of Fame in 1991. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of us, Karen Garigian.
Superintendent Tiano, Principal O'Brien, members of the faculty, distinguished guests, parents, relatives, and friends of the graduates, and members of the class of 2012. It's my pleasure to be here and be a part of this memorable day with you. Last month, I had the chance to meet with a few of you students. Of course, you weren't shy about sharing your opinions with me. You actually pitched the type of speech you wanted me to deliver to you today. Your words actually brought to mind something author John Irving once said. Irving said, "A writer uses what experience he or she has. It's the translating, though, that makes the difference." With that in mind, I decided to share some of my experiences with you, and also some of the wisdom gained from those experiences. And hopefully, not much gets lost in the translation. It really doesn't seem all that long ago, I was a high school senior, sitting where you are now. Back in 1979, a mere 33 years ago, I was at my Chelmsford High commencement. There's one thing I found out not long after I graduated from here, and I would bet it still applies today. For all, 400 of you, some graduates today, the minute you set foot into college, into a freshman class, you're already ahead. Why? The education you've just received at Chelmsford trumps a lot of schools. I remember one of my very first classes at Northeastern was something called Grammar for Journalists. Basically, it was a grammar class for incoming freshmen who were aspiring writers. There are at least 100 kids in this class. Many were from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, because that's where Northeastern feeds from, pretty much. The very first day, the very first class, the professor puts a sentence on the board and then asks a couple of kids if they could identify or pick out the noun and the verb. Now I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? Am I in remedial grammar? Well, as it turns out, not many of those 100 kids could pick out a noun or a verb to save their lives. A lot of these so-called aspiring writers weren't taught the basics in school. So, the minute you flip your caps up a little bit later, you walk out of here with a distinct advantage. You are ahead of the game with a Chelmsford education. Trust me, it's no accident that along with myself, there are several other prominent journalists from Chelmsford floating around, including WEEI's Jerry Callahan, Comcast New England's Sean McAdam, Time Publications' Robert Sullivan, and the Lowell Sun's Charlie Scoggins. Perhaps some of you have heard of them. So either there's something in the water in Chelmsford, or there's something about our teachers in the Chelmsford school system. I'd vote for the latter. The quality of the education hasn't changed since I left. That much I know. My next pearl of wisdom, Don't sweat it if you don't get into the first college of your choice. Me? I was the queen of the waiting list. I'm sure some of you might be able to relate. Yale, Tufts, Trinity, they held me hostage. They put me on those bloody waiting lists. You know, I thought I had it made. I thought I was a shoo-in for these schools. I thought that they would die for me. You know, I was 12th in a class at that time that had over 700 kids. So, you know, I had good grades. I was a 3-sport athlete, a 3-sport captain. I started on all those teams since I was a freshman. I wrote for the school newspaper. And in my spare time, I was a classical pianist. Not good enough. Or at least, not good enough for immediate entry. I wound up at Northeastern, and I went kicking and screaming. First off, if anyone has gotten into Yale or Harvard or a school of that caliber, I mean, that's awesome. You won't be sorry or disappointed. But if you wind up at your 5th choice, that works too. For me, Northeastern turned out to be a tremendous school for what I had in mind for my career. The co-op program there was perfect. I mean, back in the 1980s, aspiring to be a sports writer, okay, a female sports writer. Doing the math, I could count on one hand the number of women having sports writing jobs back then. And I'm talking about all over the country. There was so much that needed to happen for me to get from point A to point B. There's so much that goes into what I do and the work I do. I can't even begin to tell you. But going to Northeastern, I knew right away with co-op and being thrown right into the fire that either I was going to love the job or hate it, but most importantly, I knew whether or not I was going to be able to do it. I mean, it's one thing to be able to write a great story when you have days and weeks to piece together all the sentences perfectly. It's something else entirely when you have 20 minutes. And can you ultimately live with what you produce in those 20 minutes? Let me tell you a quick story. It's about my very first day on co-op, on my co-op job at Northeastern. This was right after freshman year, so I wasn't much older than you. The job was with the Lowell Sun, which is not very far from here, down the street. My initial instructions that first day were to arrive at 8 a.m. and meet with the city editor, a man named Barry Gilbert, and we would just go from there. This wasn't a sports job. As it turned out, sports was the very last thing I covered. Anyway, I remember wearing this cream-colored jacket and skirt and a white blouse, stockings, pumps, the whole 9 yards. I figured I would be, meeting people on day one, learning how to use the computer system, not much heavy lifting. So I'm shaking hands with Mr. Gilbert, and I noticed he's really distracted. He's listening to the police monitor while he's kind of talking to me. Right at the same time that we're exchanging pleasantries, there was a fire in Lowell, and it just hit the 3-alarm level, which is pretty serious. So Barry asked me if I had ever covered a fire. Well, No, I hadn't. So then he said, well, you're about to. Next thing you know, myself and Nick Karaganis, who was the Sun's lead police reporter, and a photographer were running down these back stairs out the back of the building to get to what we called the Lowell Sun car. While they were running, I was doing something else with these heels on. I wasn't running at all. So that wasn't the best choice of footwear for my first day. Anyway, we get to the car, and we're flying to the scene. Then Nick asked me if I had a notebook, which was a legitimate question. Once again, the answer was no. But I didn't have the guts to tell him, because that was pretty embarrassing. I mean, I looked in my pocketbook, I had gum, I had lipstick, I had tissues, no notebook. But I had a checkbook. Nick was going to write the lead story, and I had the sidebar. So we get there, and the house is clearly burning. There had to be a half dozen fire trucks out in this street. There was tons of smoke, lots of water flying around. It was a mess. And ultimately, so was my cream-colored suit. That was a major wardrobe malfunction. Then, I wasn't sure what I was going to write, and I was in a bit of a minor panic until I saw firefighters draw a ladder up to the top of the house toward a window. Next thing I know, out comes Fluffy the dog. It was quite the rescue, so I had my story. Writing on the back of checks, I interviewed family members about having Fluffy saved, and it was pretty neat. So we eventually got back to the paper. They set me up at a typewriter. I sit down, I crack my knuckles, I'm ready to go, I got my checkbook pages in order, and then the editor comes over and says, "Okay, kid, need it in 20 minutes." Literally, this was trial by fire. But when I got home that day and picked up the paper, there was my byline, front and center, right next to the big picture of Fluffy. The rush I felt that day, scrambling to get to the fire, watching the story unfold, writing about it, then seeing the finished product in the paper, I still get that feeling today, more than 30 years later. I cover sports, but the rush is still the same. I just don't wear heels and cream-colored suits anymore. As the superintendent mentioned, I've covered some of the most prestigious sports events: the World Series, the Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Finals, Olympics. I've interviewed some of the greatest athletes of all time: Bobby Orr, Tom Brady, Ted Williams, Tiger Woods, Annika Sorenstam. And I've covered some incredible Boston sports moments, like the Sox first World Series win in forever, 3 Patriots Super Bowl wins. I was there when John Lester pitched a no-hitter, and Teddy Bruschi played his first game since having a stroke. As I said, I still get that incredible rush every time I show up at an event. I just love how the job is so unpredictable. Or like that famous box of chocolates in the Forrest Gump movie. You never know what you're gonna get. I mean, who knew Peyton Manning would wind up in Denver and Tim Tebow with the New York Jets? Certainly none of the experts. No one saw that coming, which made it great. My next piece of advice: try to do something you love, much like the Salutatorian suggested. Try not to settle. In case you haven't figured it out, I really enjoy what I do. And it's not just because I get to go to all these great sports events for free and meet all these sports heroes. Some of my favorite stories, some of the best work I've done, are the ones that have an impact. This past Patriots season, I wrote about a rookie offensive lineman named Marcus Cannon. Now, writing about an offensive lineman isn't quite as sexy or appealing as writing about Tom Brady, but Cannon's story transcended sport. Coming out of Texas Christian University, he was expected to be drafted in the second round, but a month after the draft, he was diagnosed with cancer. It was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So imagine being this kid. Forget football for a while. His immediate future was going to be spent fighting the deadly disease with chemotherapy treatments. What team would take a chance on a kid facing all that? The Patriots, that's who. They called his name in the 5th round. But even still, just about everyone had written Cannon off last season. Most people thought he'd be on the sidelines, recovering from the aftershocks of the illness. Everyone thought it would be a redshirt year. Everyone but Cannon. He went through 7 cycles of chemotherapy, finishing in July. A little less than 3 months later, he was on the Patriots' practice field. Not only that, he was activated and eventually played in games. And this isn't Pop Warner, this is the NFL. For any of you who have had cancer or gone through treatment, you have a pretty good idea of what this young man accomplished. And for anyone just diagnosed with cancer, Cannon's story was hugely inspirational. That first day he practiced with the team and talked about what it meant was pretty significant. That's why the powers that be at the Herald put my story out in front of the paper, as opposed to the back in the sports section. It resonated with so many more readers than just sports fans. Along with Cannon's courageous battle, I've written about so many other important issues in sports. The most recent being the impact of concussions on athletes. The suicide of former Patriot linebacker Junior Seau last month brought this subject back into focus. The potential fallout from repeated head blows and trauma to the brain is a particularly sensitive subject as it pertains to sports. I did a story with former Patriot cornerback and kick returner Ellis Hobbs, who tended to lead with his head. He was forced to retire early due to a severe neck injury, but he also had many concussions in his time. In wake of Seau's death, he admitted to being frightened by what may happen to him down the road. He told me he still wakes up hearing voices and he sees people that aren't there. This was another story of impact and consequence that generated quite a bit of reader feedback. Could I have envisioned almost 3 decades ago being someone who generated hundreds and thousands of hits on a major newspaper's website? No. To be honest, when I was growing up, I thought I was going to play shortstop for the Boston Red Sox. That was actually the dream I had as a kid. But then a few English teachers here at Chelmsford kept encouraging me and boasting about my writing. So my dream took on a little different course and shape. I'd still go to Fenway, I just wouldn't wear a glove. As I start to come to a close here, I know 20 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now, you might not remember my name. That's kind of how it goes. But maybe you'll remember a little something about the message, especially if you found your niche and you're doing something you really love for work. The beauty from here out is the journey and all the possibilities that lie ahead. If you go on to college, it can be another truly wonderful time in your lives. My freshman year at Northeastern, I lived in the dorms. It was a co-ed dorm, and a lot of us were Red Sox fans. So we had this little pact. We'd study and do our homework, and then for games at Fenway, right around the 5th inning, we'd click on the radio and check the score of the game. If it was close, we'd all meet in the lobby and then walk over to the park, which wasn't very far away. We'd get there no later than the 7th inning stretch, and the usher at the gate in center field would let us sit out in the bleachers. That was just one of the fun things we did being at a Boston-based campus. That was part of my college experience. I'm sure many of you will have similar experiences to share down the road. As I look back now, I really couldn't have come up with a better warm-up act and precursor from my life and career. When I walked off the field on my graduation day, I wasn't sure what was going to happen because none of the schools I really wanted to go to gave me a chance. The only thing I knew was that I wasn't about to let that stop me. You know, we're all authors in a sense. Each and every day, we write our own stories. You've heard a lot of mine. Now it's time for you to add some more important chapters to yours. Good luck as you embark on the next phase. Enjoy the experience. Just remember, you're already one step ahead. Thank you so much for inviting me to share in this special day with you.
Thank you, Karen. It is now my pleasure to introduce our valedictorian, Lumeng Yu.
Please speak directly. Oh. I have had the time of my life over these past 4 years, and this past week especially with the class of 2012. We will go down as one of the greatest classes to ever enter Chelmsford High, and I couldn't be prouder to be a member of this class. I want to thank all the people who have helped me grow and develop over these past 4 years. Thank you to the teachers, staff, and administration here at CHS. I've been so lucky to be surrounded by such great educators, and I've learned so much from you. Thank you also to my friends. All of the laughs, good times, and memories that we have shared are what made my high school experience truly memorable. Special shout out to the people who asked me for shout outs. You guys know who you are. Above all, though, thank you to Mom, Dad, and Weston. You have motivated me and supported me every step of the way, and I wouldn't be standing up here if it wasn't for you guys. My speech was inspired on our bus ride back from prom. Can you tell how much I procrastinated? But really, we were sitting on our party bus, and all of a sudden that song, We Are Young, came through the speakers. Of course, we all started singing along, and as we were singing, I came up with an idea, or I was inspired by an idea. Right now, we are young. And that, perhaps, is the greatest gift and biggest advantage that we have. Our youthfulness makes us dreamers, in a good way, of course. We believe that anything is possible, which in turn means for us that anything is possible. Our future potential is limitless. The limit does not exist. Who knows, someone here among us could invent the next iPod, write the next Harry Potter, develop the next Facebook, direct the next Hollywood blockbuster. We're not limited by responsibilities or impossibilities, but rather by the extent of our ambition and imagination. Of course, not all our endeavors will succeed. There is no doubt that we will encounter many difficulties and failures along the way. However, the beauty of being young is that we have time on our side. We can afford to fail because we have time to try and try again. So, let's be ambitious in setting our goals and relentless in pursuing our dreams. Let's try the things that we've always wanted to try but never had the chance to. Live the life that we want to live without any regrets. I want to end my speech by leaving you with a modified acronym. I'm sure, as Neil already mentioned, you guys have all heard of YOLO, but my version of that is yo-yo. You're only young once. So let's not squander this privilege or advantage. Instead, let's use it to chase the life of our dreams. Travel the world, explore our interests, follow our ambitions. Look with optimism towards the future. The good life is only going to get better. Thank you very much.
It is now my pleasure to invite Karen Garigian up to our podium and give her an honorary degree as a member of the class of 2012. Congratulations.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Doherty. It is my good fortune to be the Dean of Emerson House. I first met Ann O'Brien in the spring of 1975 when we were student teachers at Parker Junior High School. Since then, we have been teaching colleagues, deans, and mostly friends. In the early 80s, we performed in a faculty play, the melodrama entitled Dirty Works in High Places. Anne was the heroine named Sweet Saccharin, and I, of course, was the hero known as Dauntless Crusader. And just this past fall, we played a longtime married couple and the play Brighton Beach Memoirs. Well, thank you. Didn't know my mother was here. I think it's revealing. I think it's revealing that in our final roles in the play and at Chelmsford High School, that Anne had been my wife in one and my boss in the other, since both roles are so similar. Principal O'Brien is unique among CHS principals, not only because she is the first female principal in CHS history, but also because she has attended Chelmsford schools her whole life. And it is because she is one of our own that she has been able to understand what makes CHS so great. And she has been able to so successfully continue that greatness by adding to the school's legacy through her intelligence, compassion, innovative spirit, and her love for the staff, community, and especially for her students. In her 36 years as an educator, Anne has been a highly successful and beloved social studies teacher and a teacher of television production. Anne has coached, been a class advisor, a student council advisor, and for those of us who've been in Chelmsford a very long time, the creator of the very popular and funny News Zone, which was a student-run weekly television program. It's okay. And has traveled with students within the United States and to Europe. She attends plays, concerts, sporting events, and other activities where she thoroughly enjoys the success of her students. For in the past 36 years, they have been her students. They are not her students because of the positions she has held at CHS. They are her students because she truly cares for them as students, but especially as people. There are a handful of people I consider who fully embody what it means to be an educator. And Ann O'Brien heads that list, for she has unselfishly served the best interests of all of us who have been fortunate enough to have known her. When making a decision, Ann's guiding principles are always what is the right thing to do and what is best for the student and Chelmsford High School. There's a saying that 100 years from now, it will not matter what kind of car I owned or how much money I made, but the world will be a better place because I have made a difference in the life of a child. This world is a far better place because of all the positive differences Principal Ann O'Brien has made in the lives of so many young people. I'm also willing to bet, that's okay, I'm also willing to bet that it is maroon and white blood that flows through her veins, for she's truly a wonderful, caring person and the embodiment of all that we at Chelmsford High hold so important. It is only appropriate that the class of 2012, a class which has brought so many successful, positive changes to the culture of CHS, should have as a member of its graduating class a principal who has brought so many positive changes to our school. It is my great honor to welcome Principal Ann O'Brien as a member of the graduating class of 2012 with his honorary diploma.
Thank you so much. As you've known, this year has been more difficult with each event, and I've done pretty well. And I'm not going to go downhill. I'm going to try to keep it together. But thank you so much. This has been a great year. You've been a wonderful class. You've been very special. I'm going to miss all of my friends. I'm going to miss all of my family. And I'm going to miss all the people that I've worked with and all of the community members all these years. So thank you very much for this honor. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce, gentlemen, thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the chairperson of our school committee, Mrs. Janet Askenberg.
Congratulations, class of 2012. On behalf of the Chelmsford School Committee, I would like to say thank you for all your hard work and dedication throughout your school years. You have made not only the school committee, but the entire Chelmsford community very proud. To all the moms and dads and family members of these graduates, thank you for being your child's biggest supporter and advocate for a quality education. For the future, I hope all of you find your passion in life and through courage and hard work, create your own unique path to success. Mark Twain once said, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Catherine Elizabeth Ackley. Alexandra Yvette Davis. Adams. Hannah Margaret Adley. Samantha Rose Arnold. Michelle Joan Atkins. Alexandra Vladimirovna Bednenko. Kayla Marie Blanchard. Alyssa Buckland. Samantha Elizabeth Burns. Nicole Helene Camara. Bushra Chetin. Celia Chevalier. Kimberly Chittenden. Mary Catherine Cohen. Johanna Helen Kramer. Samantha Olivia Dalfund. Jessica Catherine Daly. Kayla Elise DeAngelis. Brittany Elisa Delaney. Rashana Ramesh Deshmukh. Stephanie Florence Dick. Chelsea Cheyenne Diggs. Sarah Gina DiTullio. Alyssa Amber Fabianic. Jenna Marie Farrell. Aliana Paige Flynn. Casey Core Foley. Sarah Elizabeth Garcia. Elise Nicole Genero. Lindsay Ann Granger. Kathleen Ann Guay. Ashley Susan Hale. Julia Grace Howard. Dakota Rose Howe. Jennifer Lynn Janiak. Abigail Louise Johnson. Rebecca Nicole Landry. Emily Margaret Lane. Shannon Kelly Leonard. Courtney Nicole Lucier. Juliana Mary Di Matthews. Hira Mazer. Lauren Rachel McCarthy. Christy Alice Mercury. Danielle Teresa Miner. Elisa Genevieve Moore. Catherine Michelle Moreau. Anjali Ramohan Narayan. Anya Nelson. Quinn Nguyen. Caitlin Ann O'Connell. Amanda Ogadima Opibo. Samantha Elizabeth Oliver. Jessica Lynn Paletta. Megan D. Rich. Lynette Yasmin Rosario. Jennifer Elise Roy. Anna Louisa Ruvalcaba. Kira Tatiana Shadone. Melissa Ann Sennett. Shelby Bridget Smith. Emma Jane Snell. Heather Elizabeth Susi. Erin Marie St. Jean. Nicoletta Louisa Sturgio. Kelsey Marie Taylor. Sarah Linder Teal. Emily May Francis Totten. Kimberly Trong. Sarah Ann Tubridy. Lindsay Olivia Upton. Leah Megan Volak. Allison Marie Wazak. Megan Eleanor Albee. Abigail Mary Arlen. Alexis Leah Bertolacini. Colleen Karen Bird. Angela Maria Porero. Maria Camila Borrero. Elena Marie Breton. Amanda Bridget Cardone. Haley Ann Marie Carignan. Erin Elizabeth Carpenter. Kendra Cervantes. Catherine Fuchi Chan. Manusha Shareddy. Celine Maria Chilton. Catherine Ann Cooney. Catherine Ann Crisafulli. Brooke Margaret Curran. Nicole Hannah de Saint Phal. Alyssa Ray Delorme. Rachel Hannah Dietz. Caitlin Marie Doonan. Molly Marion Dunn. Rebecca Lynn Feely. Rebecca Bray Fippen. Rebecca Catherine Focus. Daniela Franco. Kelsey Marie Garthy. Amanda Rochelle Groves. Allison Catherine Hadley. Catherine Elizabeth Ann Hazel. Casey Lee Howe. Sarah Othet Jones. Ariel Stephanie Keller. Elizabeth Marie Kender. Laura Bridget Kender. Clarissa Kim. Ray Xing Regina Kuo. Paige Davidson Leach. Claire Elizabeth Leith. Anita Garwai Lee. Brianne Marie Loisel. Emily Rose Lewis. Allison Inez Mann. Brittany Lauren Martell. Laura Chehab Merhi. Kaylee Rose Merrill. Caitlin Ann Nagel. Holly Dawn Neal. Alexandra Diane Nolet. Megan Joanne O'Keefe. Rachel Alexandra Orchard. Bridget Elizabeth Phillips. Jacqueline Ann Paseko. Victoria Marie Russo. Megan Christine Ryan. Carolyn Ann Scanlon. Shannon Margaret Shea. Rebecca May Seco. Caitlin Marie Sittler. Gina Marie Snelson. Kelly Ann Sullivan. Taylor Bijan Sutton. Clancy Elena Taylor. Victoria Lavery Trudell. Sarah Beth Upson. Jolly Shu. Alexandra Ann Burgess. Kelsey Rose Carey. Christy Yi Ting Chow. Kimberly Ann Salento. Shayla Ann Curran. Kendra Elise Cernicki. Stephanie Patricia DeRogers. Heather Lee Devine. Donovan K. Driscoll. Marissa Andrea Duran. Grace Elizabeth Eppolito. Mallory Rose Frecker. Courtney Elizabeth Goodwin. Ravina Gupta. Heather Diane Hall. Sarah Elizabeth Hamer. Megan Sandilands Hannah. Olivia Ann Harvey. Megan McHale Hennessy. Michaela Marie Horahan. Emily Ann Hewlett. Marissa Ann Huntington. Danielle Elizabeth Johnson. Rachel Tuga Kane. Madura Ravindra Kulkarni. Alyssa Marie Ladwig. Brenda Lee LaMarche. Caroline Juliette Lambert. Rebecca Diane Landry. Danielle Marie Lapierre. Marie Rose Lawton. Catherine Elizabeth Lassard. Janelle Carol Levesque. Andrea Eleonora Medor. Kara Kathleen McClure. Elena Claire McGuigan. Megan Judith McNamara. Alyssa Marilyn Malott. Allison Teresa Moran. Carrie Mary Morrissey. Alice Louise Murray. Lillian Jambi Juby. Jenna Harriet Osborne. Nandana Penaconda. Jenna Eve Plosky. Amy Renee Rivard. Courtney Grace Robinson. Megan Elizabeth Ryan. Michelle Ann Ryan. Veda Elizabeth Sabatelli. Rebecca Ann Schmidt. Casey Elizabeth Smith. Chloe Brianna Smith Spearman. Katrina Caroline Squarey. Laura Elena Thurlow. Brittany Jean Urban. Leanne Rebecca Vallely. Caroline Nicole Villanova. Vanessa Mala Voke. Rebecca Nicole Williams. Victoria Nicole Williams. Lisa Wu. Despina Elaine Zuzis. John Morgan Adams. Nicholas Spiris Antonio. Stephen Paul Baraldi Jr. Brendan Lewis Bartlett. Eric Philip Bass. Kevin Emmerich Beatty. Christian Joseph Booth. Carolus Atef Boulis. Alexander Ross Campbell. Philip Paul Karen. Nathan William Carpenter. Kyle Joseph Shagnon. Neil Ashok Choli. Patrick Stephen Curran. Alexander Charles Davidson. Anthony Daniel Donahue. William Troy Duggan. Kenneth James Eckelkamp. Colby David Emanuel. Jarrett Brian Fernald. Patrick Thomas Finn. Matthew Duke Foley. Samuel Robert Fontaine. Kyle Joseph Gilman. Derek Robert Hamilton. Nathan Alexander Harmon. Manuel Tirado Harpin. Daniel Jacob Havener. Derek James Hill. Tanner James Houle. Matthew Christopher Jean. William Peter Kaminidis. Max Alexander Kaufman. Jordan Matthew Key. James Robert Latina. Joshua James Lovis. Vincent Michael Maniscalco. Connor Robert Martin. Connor Patrick McLaughlin. Kevin Dennis Moriarty. Shri Rajiv Nadkarni. Joseph Ofosu. James Patrick O'Keefe. Santiago Christian Paredes. Jack Robert Pierce. Matthew James Perry. Neil William Finney. Zachary Michael Pindara. John Patrick Reedy. Jordan David Reynolds. Travis Joseph Robarge. Nicholas Robert Sargent. Joseph Robert Shadone. Christopher Corey Shepard. Zachary Elijah Slocum. Devin Alexander Steele. Shane Joseph Sullivan. Kevin Thomas Tatara. Michael Andrew Thomas. Curran William Tobin. Christopher Robert Tarosian. Mason Gavin Truby. Michael William Wilkins. Brian Patrick Wright. Chawiwat Akara Hiransakal. Arjun Balaji. Alexander Ferris Becker. Derek Joseph Cabral. Ryan Patrick Carr. Carlos Chen. Joseph Paul Christopher. Matthew Lee De Silva. Taylor John Dawson. David John DiDonato Jr. Connor Thomas DiPasquale. Kyle Anthony Emmons. Jeffrey David Falco. Ryan Matthew Akira Fellows. Slade Aaron Forney. Young Fu Feng. Young Yi Feng. Jason Charles Garcia. Sean James Jarvis. Joseph Andrew Grasso. Ryan William Green. Bradley Warren Harrington. Brett Michael Harrington. Sean Peter Hayes. Charles Francis Herber. Gregory Ronald Houle. Nicholas Michael Imparillo. Anthony Lee Jerzek. Brian Boran Jing. Timothy John Joy. Michael Kelly. Brandon Michael Kerr. Nicholas Ryan King. Joseph John Kruglak. Mihal Kuchik. Lyndon Prescott Langthorne. Max Christian Lawson. Evan Merrill Lefebvre. Derek Catarega Luaga. Stephen Nicholas MacDonald. Jake Anthony Maniscalco. Robert George Massey. Alec Mario McCabe. Patrick Michael McLaughlin. Cameron Robert Murphy. Christopher Patrick Murphy. Thomas Andrew Murphy. Cody C. Nazaro. John Matthew Pasciuto. Zachary Oliver Patron. Lachazar Ivanov Popov. Vigneshwar Ravichandran. Daniel Joseph Reynolds. Brian Epps Richardson. Brian Mark Robillard. Aaron Gerard Rogers. Adam Michael Roy. Benjamin Jacob Sack. David John Shanahan. Edmund Noonan Sheridan. Upkar Singh. Nicholas James Souza. Thomas Nicholas Trahan. Kevin Paul Wade. Nicholas Mark Walakevich. Ian Roman Whittlesey. Cameron John Zamani. Matthew Allen Zavalik. Derek Matthew Bond. Thomas Joseph Bradley. Connor Robert Brown. Evan Douglas Brown. Douglas Alexander Kalenda II. Justin Thomas Carey. Thomas Roger Chandonnet. Brendan Michael Daly. Ryan Stephen DeCoste. Zachary Aaron Damaris. Robert Edward DeFranzo. Corey Britt Everlay. Oliver Charles Farron. Hansel Fernandez. Stephen Alexander Gillis. Shelby Shaw Glover. Brandon J.R. Higgins. Bradford Hunter Horton. Daniel Charles Huntington. Augustus Edward Cascons. Robert Lawrence Caralla. Eric John Knowles. James Gerald Lyons. David Joseph Marchand. Cameron David Martin. Christopher Mark Materna. Shane Michael Malisi. Mark William Malisi. David Boonton Moole. Sean Patrick Murphy. Felipe Pestana Nascimento. Michael Andrew Noyes. Orion Robert Paul. Maxwell Brian Perry. Tyler Douglas Prentice. Jacob Thomas William Record. Mitchell Davis Reen. Zachary Richard Ricardo. Joseph John Rourke. Jeffrey Scott Sanborn, Jr. Michael Allen Schmidt. Rahul Uday Shah. Brendan James Sullivan. Robert Anthony Sullivan. Nicholas James Surratt. Michael Thomas Terrio. Lev Sidolkovsky. Connor Michael Tuttle. Roy Stephen Van Loo. Richard Dario Venegas. Eric Bennett Wilson. Brian Michael Wiggins Wynn. Samuel Richard Wong. Lu Meng Yu. President of the class of 2012, Matthew Kevin Coughlin.
Class of 2012, you may now turn your tassels. Congratulations.